Our source of information for this is twofold. Number one, the mantras are mythical hymns composed by the Aryans after they had settled in their new Indian home. And second, the Brahmanas, a certain other class of works, which generally speaking belong to an age subsequent to that of the mantras and may be broadly described as liturgical in character. The former have been preserved to us chiefly in what are known as the Rik and the Athar Samhitas. The first, in its present form, dates from 600 BC and the second from somewhat later. They are religious songs in praise of one or more deities and were intended generally to be sung at the time of offering worship to them. These songs, especially the earlier ones among them, are written in very old Sanskrit, and it is for that reason not infrequently difficult to determine what precisely their import is. The difficulty of interpretation arising from the archaic character of the language is increased by the break in tradition, which means to have occurred quite early, even before the composition of the Brahmanas. To give only a simple instance, nothing is more natural for a poet than to speak of the sun as golden-handed. Yet this poetic epithet appearing in a hymn is taken literally and explained in a Brahmanas by a story that the sun lost his hand, which was afterwards replaced by one made of gold. To these factors contributing to the difficulty of understanding arise the views of this early period. We should add the fragmentary nature of the mantra metrical that has come down to us. The very fact that the hymns had been for so many generations before they were brought together in what may be described as a floating condition shows that some of them must have been lost. When at last they were collected, not all of them were included in the collection, but only such as had a more or less direct bearing upon ritual, which had by that time come to occupy the center of real interest. The result is that the information that can be gathered from them is incomplete and one-sided. Unlike the mantras, the Brahmanas are written in prose. They profess to elucidate the earlier literature of the mantras. But as already stated, they misread it at times. Their chief aim, to judge from their present form, should have been the affording a practical aid in the performance of rites by getting together the sacrificial lore or known at the time when they were compiled. They indicate the prevalence then of a complicated ritual, and their lucubrations have been generally little bearing upon philosophy. But while explaining the nature of rites, the authors of the Brahmanas sometimes indulge in speculative digressions which give us a glimpse of the philosophic thought of the age. As handed down traditionally, the Brahmanas include the Upanishads, which usually from their final sections, but in their thoughts and sometimes they are essentially different. Moreover, the Upanishads are of very great importance, so much so that they have been viewed by some as the fountain head of all Indian philosophy. For these reasons, they require a separate treatment, and we shall deal with them in the next chapter, in the next video, confirming our attention here to the mantras and the Brahmanas strictly so termed.